and the Bucs systematically doing what they have to do to keep the 2020 Bucs in place. And that was one of the other big stories yesterday. For everything the Patriots are doing to get new guys, the Buccaneers doing everything they can to keep their old guys. And that's what stunned me right out of the gates. Clock strikes 12. What's the first deal we're going to hear about? What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Oh, it's Shaq Barrett. Where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going? He's staying in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
With a 4-year deal worth up to $72 million that pays out $36 million guaranteed. It's a $17 million per year deal,
right?
Which is far from top of the market. Joey Bosa is 27. But that's the reality of this current market. That's where we are. And that ends up being the best offer for Shaq Barrett. I haven't heard that he could have gotten more elsewhere. When Drew Rosenhaus announced this deal yesterday, he didn't add the Shaq Barrett could have gotten more elsewhere like he did with Aaron Jones. So maybe this was the best deal he could get. 4 years, $17 million per year base. What was your immediate reaction?
I think the first thing was, wow. I mean, the Bucs are keeping everybody. Unbelievable. I don't remember a Super Bowl team ever with this many free agents and like high-level ones being able to keep them. Usually when we see these type of scenarios through history and, oh, we won the Super Bowl, oh, we have 5 or 6 high-level free agents, out there in the market, we lose 3 of them, or we lose 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 7. I mean, this is unreal. The fact that they were able to keep Godwin, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, again, the sign of the times. I think all of them being a little bit selfless and the fact of maybe taking, a hair less. I don't know about that.
Not Barrett. Not Barrett.
Well, so one, I was shocked they did it. And then 2, I think that was the other shocker where, because of what we saw last week and then, not franchise tagging him, I thought, well, man, he must have some offers out there where they just go, we can't compete. We're not going to be able to pay it and do it that way. But obviously it was the opposite. They were in a spot where we brought this up last week too. Maybe they're in the spot where they went, hey, we're going to be able to afford him. This is going to work. So let's franchise Godwin just to make sure he doesn't get out of town or something, like that. And here they are. But $36 million over 2 years, Shaq Barrett, yeah, you'll take that if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's a 2-year, $36 million deal, and he'll have to earn the rest of it.
2 things. First, the reality that they did have other options out there in free agency if they wanted to go there. And the timing to me says that they had an offer on the table for Shaq Barrett.
Right.
That was the offer.
Right.
And they told him when noon rolls around on Monday, that money we have budgeted for you is going to go away.
Yeah.
We're going to start pursuing the other free agent pass rushers. So you have until 12. Once the clock strikes 12, we're getting on the phone. I hear this time and again. And I know it dehumanizes the process, but this is the way it is. They got a list. They got a list, and they got a phone. And they pick up the phone, and they got their list. All right, who's first on the list? All right, here's our offer. Do you want it, yes or no? I need to know in 5 minutes. All right, let me know. Get back to me. And they move on to the next guy if that guy says no or says anything other than yes. And I think that's what they were going to do. They had their list of other pass rushers, and if Shaq Barrett didn't say yes by 12, then Shaq wasn't going to get that deal. And Drew Rosenhaus knew, because of all the illegal tampering that happens, what else was or wasn't out there. And the other factor, I think, is this, Chris. A lot of the moves we saw yesterday, if not all of them, were football moves, not business moves.
You're right about that, Mike.
You'll have an owner show up and say, hey, we got to spend this money anyway. Right. We got this requirement that we spend up to the minimum on a 4-year rolling average, and let's go. Hey, they won the Super Bowl. That guy, yeah, I saw him playing in the Super Bowl. Go get him. I want him. And it becomes a business move, not a football move. And if it was a business move year, someone would have paid Shaq Barrett more than $20 million a year. But it's not, so he had to take what he could get to stay in Tampa.
Mike, it's a good point you bring up because you're right. There's not what was the most careless contract out there yesterday. Not one jumps to mind. You're right. Usually in day one of free agency, you have that 1 or 2 contracts where you go, man, I can't believe they paid that guy that much money. I mean, it just We didn't really get that yesterday. In fact, did we get anything even record-breaking? I think Joe Thuney or Tooney? Was he was his or Lindsley? I thought maybe one of those I read as far
I think Lindsley becomes the highest paid center in football.
He began, so that
was
the two
linemen
ones.
Got a lot of money.
Right.
But
they were still big football moves. No, I know. That's right. You're right.
Your investments.
You're exactly
right.
Protecting two superstars. I mean, one, is the best player in the league. The other guy is, marching up the line to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. So you're right. It was a lot of.
Hey, but Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, Tooney's at 16, Laramie Tunsil's at 22, and I know it's 2 different positions on the offensive line.
I know, you could
but
swallow
there's
that.
still a long way to go
doubt.
From 16 to 22
You're
if
right.
you're going to spend that money. And I think that's one of the reasons why Trent Williams doesn't have a contract yet, because teams don't want to blow out the top of the market for any of these positions.
Yeah, no, it seems that way. And, I mean, I understand it. I do. There was nothing like jaw-dropping that way from what we saw yesterday. And Shaq Barrett, I think, would be, one of the guys that would headline that. But, man, just rare to see a Super Bowl team stay intact the way they have. They got Gronk back. He's there. I mean, they really got everything right where they want it or need it to make another run. We'll see what they do to kind of round out free agency. Is there any, other guys out there? But as far as the guys we talked about, I mean, I don't think either one of us thought they could keep David, Barrett, and Godwin. So they got that done. Now Gronk's done, which we expected. What happens with Sue, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette? We'll see. I expect Sue and Brown to be back at this point. I do. Leonard Fournette's the one guy that I think maybe gets a little bit more money than Tampa's willing to pay out on the open market, and they have Ronald Jones. So, but phenomenal job by the Bucs organization and Jason Light.
Shireen made a good point yesterday, too, when she wasn't dunking on you.
Thank you.
Absentia. Ryan Suckup is a free agent, and their kicker position had finally been stabilized after the Roberto Aguayo misadventures. You don't want him walking away. You want to find a way to keep him as well. Gronk, though, yesterday it came out, not long after free agency started, that he wanted to dip his toe in the free agency pool and see what else was out there. And people were confused because so soon after that, he did a 1-year, $10 million deal to stay put. Well, that was a taped podcast interview with Kyle Brandt. By the time Monday at noon rolls around, you've dipped your toe. You know what's out there. Your agents work the phones, and there isn't anything that's better than what he was going to get to stay with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and stay with Tom Brady. And just maybe the willingness to see what else was out there got that number up a little bit to stay in Tampa Bay. Because, frankly, regular season Gronk, I wouldn't pay $10 million to. Postseason Gronk, I would.
Yeah, I hear you. I think we'll see more postseason Gronk, though, in the regular season next year. I do. I think, for that kind of money, he's played last year. It's not like, hey, let's get into shape because you didn't play the year before. I expect to see a little bit better of a all-around quality Gronk this year at the tight end position. But, yeah, it's the first time we heard Gronk, go off of the I'll only play for Tom Brady for the rest of my career. Now, that was the first time I ever heard comments where, whoa, he'll actually go somewhere else. I think we were all led to believe that there was that possibility. There was that rumor out there. I thought Miami might be a possibility with some of those old New England coaches that he's been with there. Brady is moving there, so maybe he'd figure, hey, I'll meet you there in a few years, something like that. But, yep, good he's back there. And, wow, Bucs still one of the best teams in football, no doubt about that.
Well, if he'd have gone to Miami, he never would have been playing deep safety on a Hail Mary play. That's
never. We don't need him there.
That's where that thing happened a couple of years ago. I'm not convinced. I really am not convinced we're going to see postseason Gronk on a regular basis. He's going to be a year older. He's had so many injuries. The guy just, and unless it was some elaborate season-long rope-a-dope, he just wasn't moving like he used to. And even in the Super Bowl, it's not like it was vintage Gronk. It was just better than what we saw in the regular season. I mean, that's a lot of money to pay for a guy who blocks. But you know what? If you're going to pay a tackle between 15 and 20, if your tight end is next to the tackle and he's helping to seal that edge and open up the running game, and it's just a lot of money for Gronk. I was surprised he got to 8 figures.
Well, I hear you. I do, but I think you kind of said it the right way. First off, he's Gronk. There is value in that. Okay, but the blocking is real. He is like having an extra offensive tackle on the field with running the ball or pass protection. I mean, some of the best stuff he did last year, we pointed it out during shows during the week and stuff, was him staying in to block so Brady could feel comfortable and gash people down the field. But, man, he showed up in a lot of big moments, too, in the pass game. And, of course, he had the playoffs, the Super Bowl, all of that. He's still a mismatch. He is. And I think, in a year now, the second year, one, they got a ton of weapons, so they don't need to lean on them. But they'll formulate, I bet you, a little bit more of a package here now that you'll have an off-season stuff, too, to where they'll have a more, base group of plays they can go to and all that. At the very least, his size is still real. I mean, that's the big thing. If you talk to coaches over the years who played Gronk, the first thing they always go is just, man, we just weren't prepared for how big he was. We didn't realize, we knew he was a pretty good athlete. We didn't realize how big he was. I mean, even when we covered him, we couldn't cover him. And that's the type of thing he does. He is a true mismatch in the pass game still, even though, to your point, he doesn't move the way he used to.
And we know how Tom Brady feels about him. When
That's
Brady
right.
does a new contract and an extension that doesn't increase his $25 million per year rate, which is a hell of a bargain when you consider what he's brought to that franchise, and he creates $19.3 million in cap space, and he wants Gronk on the team, that helps Gronk make a little extra money.
Yeah.
And that may have been the difference to get the deal done.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.